Hey Zach, how's it going? How's it going, Zach?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. They canceled my OnlyFans account, so.
Well, it's a shame to hear that, but thank you for selling me that GT350. Great price, great car.
Gotta eat, so.
Yeah, man, I hear you. You know, man, it's a shame you don't have a really cool Mustang anymore. You know, you probably have some shitty economy car, but you know, it suits you. So.
Gotta save on gas mileage, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. Anyway,
I'm making the same big bucks, so.
For sure, man. Hey, it's good seeing you.
Good seeing you, man.
For the GT350.
See you later.
Oh my God, I'm so glad I'm finally driving a better car than that guy. He's just always been such a thorn in my side. You know, I would love to see what he's driving now. It's probably pathetic. Maybe a Yaris, maybe a Prius. You know what, Zach? You deserve this. You've earned this, and it's so nice to see you drive that GT350. It's an acceleration that takes your breath away, which you don't feel very often. I mean, in my GT, you kind of accelerate. In this thing, dude, it's a rocket. And I know everyone says that, but it's so true. It's a rocket. You feel it. And it's like nothing you've ever felt before. If you've never experienced G-forces like that, it's like something you don't know. And so you get in this car, and it literally takes your breath away. They used to think that, I forgot what the number was, going over 50 miles per hour, they used to think that you would suffocate because air is only breathed in at like 35 miles per hour. That's obviously not true, but in this car it feels like it, because you really can't breathe. It's amazing. I mean, where engineering has come, where Ford Performance has taken itself, coming from the days of being SVT and all those things, it's on a different level. I mean, I know people fall in love with the old Mustang Cobra Terminators and all those, and those are great cars, obviously. But it's not even in the same realm as those. I mean, this is Ford Performance. Just saying, we're on par with the big boys. We can make a supercar.
All right, guys. So the very first thing I can say about this car, there's only one word I can describe the GT500: visceral. And another thing I have to say about this, we're probably gonna go to jail today. This thing is insane. The acceleration is like a rocket ship. Like I was saying earlier today, the very first time I just gassed it, the whole entire thing, you don't even feel you lose your stomach, your heart stops, you cannot breathe. It is that insane, it's like a rocket ship. Well, 760 wheel horsepower, along with 625 pound-feet of torque, it's gonna put you back in the seat. With, again, the 7-speed dual clutch transmission, the shifts are like butter smooth. You don't even feel it upset the dynamics of the car. It's so insane. Typically I'm a guy that I prefer to do the manual shifting, but this is very impressive. I mean, I understand why a lot of people go PDK in the Porsches and the 7-speed dual clutch transmission. This thing is just so amazing. So with all that power, there's one thing about this. It has 5 heat exchangers to keep that supercharger cool, along with a 50% increase in airflow compared to the GT350. So what Ford did with this car is amazing. They took the GT350R, they took what they could from that, and they just built upon that and made this a little bit more dependable and a lot quicker. You know my favorite thing about this car versus the GT350 that I own? Well, 760 horsepower, 625 pounds-feet of torque. lot of fast cars, you lose your stomach. This, your heart just stops. You don't even feel your stomach. You don't have time to feel your stomach. And the fact this thing shifts so quickly. Man, this thing's amazing. I never thought I would want an automatic car, but this thing shifts so fast. The acceleration just doesn't stop. You don't have to take time to actually shift. This thing is so amazing. And those downshifts. I'm gonna go to jail today. Woohoo!
Bro, that is the most visceral.
And the shifts are so fast. Woo! We're going to jail today, Zach. So Zach, this is the 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. So first thing, what do you think about it by looking at it?
It looks mean. It looks really mean, and honestly, I love it. It screams American muscle. It screams Shelby. And one of the things I love about this is the redesigned hood pins. So to me, hood pins can kind of be ugly and unsightly. You got the cables coming out. Some people love them, I know. I personally don't. I think they look a little bit silly. These redesigns here are fantastic. They go with the hood. It looks great. You have this amazing cut in the hood to let heat escape. And the thing I love about what they've done with the entire front of this car is it's all useful aerodynamics. It all actually works. Well, that's the great part about it. It's not for show, it works.
And since another great thing about this, it's all functional. You know, I mean, they took the GT350 and they had an increase of 50% airflow through the front bumper to help cool this beast, because I mean, for one, we have a big supercharger under here and they wanted to reduce heat soak when it is hot outside to maintain that 760 horsepower. So they also have 5 heat exchangers underneath this hood as well too, to make sure that you're keeping all that power the whole time.
Yeah, and that was an important thing for Ford engineers, to make sure you're getting that power you were promised the entire time. And I assure you, it's got plenty of that in spades. This thing is ridiculously
I'm real
fast.
surprised that I haven't gone to jail yet.
I'm surprised you haven't killed 2 hours. I'm surprised you haven't killed the crowd yet. I mean, honestly.
We still got the rest of the day.
15 minutes later.
Oh man.
The thing I want to point out too is how wide this front end is.
Yeah, and I think that's really to help keep that front end grip. This is a car that a lot of people have said this about it. It really doesn't, it's visceral. It punches you, but it doesn't want to kill you. It feels like it's really under control, and that's actually something I personally really like about it.
So it's driver inspiring for the most part, which
Yeah,
could be a
lot of
good thing or a bad thing.
A lot of confidence unless there's a crowd around.
Another thing about these hood pins, it gives it that almost that retro look, but it's also very functional too, because you don't want any floppy hood at 200 miles an hour.
No, a car designed to go this fast, you really don't want that, and it works. I mean, it's such a simple design, but it works. So, Sean, you want to take a look at the back end?
I always looking at the back end.
Alright, let's take a look. Ready?
So Zach, at the rear end of the GT500, it's very similar to any other Mustang for the most part. You have a different rear balance. That's the same thing that you see on the GT350. You have the same redesigned spoiler as well too. The same thing on the GT350 as well. So really, what do you think about the rear end?
You know, I like it. And you know why I like it? It looks like a Mustang. I mean, really, they haven't changed a lot here. You get this big badge so that people know what you're rocking under the hood. And you get a little bit of a redesigned valence. That's it.
And we gotta talk about something about this car too, in particular. So I love the color on this car. It looks really nice, especially when the sunlight hits it. Also too, what color are those stripes?
Yeah, so it is a bit of a different and unique way to option the car, but we got blue stripes on the red, and honestly, it looks pretty good. I'm kind of shocked.
You think it's black, right?
Yeah, it's not something I would personally choose, but honestly, it works. It looks good. And so that's something I give a lot of credit to Ford for. Honestly, I haven't seen a lot of colors on Mustangs that I go, that looks terrible. Honestly, all of them look pretty darn good, so good on them, I guess. But the rest of this, once again, kind of a standard Mustang. Taillights, same. Deck lid, same. Even the wing has been borrowed, like you said, from GT350, so It's kind of similar in a lot of ways.
But the reason you're spending $100,000 is not because the rear end or necessarily the appearance. What are we paying the money for?
You're paying money to spin those wheels very fast. That's what you're paying for.
Are you ready to go look inside the car?
Yeah, let's take a look at the
So Zach, so we're in the interior of the GT500. So what do you think about it compared to your GT?
Right, and you know, yeah, I own a GT, you own a GT350. In this interior, well, it's a Mustang.
Technically, so yeah, you have the cheaper material of just a normal Mustang. You have the plastic plastic interior pieces. It's not too bad, to be honest with you. I mean, you have a little carbon fiber, little dashboard, same thing in the 350. Right here, since it is an automatic, you don't have your gear shifter, but you have a gear selector. It kind of reminds me of a BMW a little bit, the little iDrive system. The seats, these are they call them the Recaro sofa seats. I will say they don't hold you as well as the Recaro actual seats like that I have in my 350, but the air-conditioned seat portion is very nice.
Yes, the air-conditioned seats are really nice. There is something nice I have to say about the interior. One, you have a GT350 steering wheel and, of course, some flappy paddles. The paddle shifters, they feel pretty good. They're all right. Yeah, I'm not upset with that decision. I think that they're fine. Made it to that 7-speed dual clutch. It works totally fine. Another nice thing I have to say is I think Sync 3 might be the best infotainment system in the business. It's really good. It works well. You can, of course, have your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. The phone works pretty darn well. Climate controls work well. It works.
It does work, and I will say once you have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, there's really no going back, so that's a really great thing about this car too. So it has a good entertainment system. This one has the, I think it's a BO. I think it's like when they're entertainment, like the audio system. And it actually sounds really well, but you're not really paying for the speaker quality because let's be real, you're not going to be listening to the radio. You're going to be listening to this supercharger whine.
Yes.
Also the exhaust note too, because you're always going to be in track mode.
Right. It's nice, and like you said, the gear selector is not bad. I know a lot of people have mixed opinions on it. I think it's fine. It's totally serviceable. It works. You get carbon fiber dash. It looks pretty good. And of course, you get your GT500 plate that lets everybody know that you spent an obscene amount of money on a Mustang. But honestly, it's totally serviceable. I have no problem with the interior. The back seats are unusable. Of course, everybody knows that. But for the most part, I mean, everything works. It's where it's supposed to be, and it doesn't get in your way, which is, I think, the best compliment you can kind of give it. It doesn't impede the experience, really.
Yep. So you want to take it for a spin?
Yeah, I really want to drive
That's
this.
not even a question, right?
That's not even a question. Let's do it. They've given me the keys to the kingdom, and it may have been a mistake because I don't know if they're getting it back. This feels amazing already. The steering, instantly, very weighty, very different from what I expect from my GT. It's very vague in my GT. It's not in this. You can feel the road. I can feel the vibrations coming through it. It's actually really good, surprisingly good. So I'm excited about that. Another thing, the lightest touch of throttle gets you going. And that's how I know this thing's got some power. And there's no doubt about that. We're talking about 760 horsepower, 625 foot-pounds of torque, and I couldn't be more excited about it. Now, to get to where you can really stretch this thing's legs out, you'd have to go pretty far. You'd have to go to a track, really. Get on the highway and you're gonna go to prison relatively quickly. But at the same time, on the road, this thing has such a road presence, and it kind of glides, you know? It's really not rough. I never feel like I'm in any danger. I never feel like, oh my God, this thing is so stiff, this thing's gonna throw me off the road any minute. It feels soft, it feels supple, and yeah, it feels powerful. Now, we're gonna get out here to this road and try to not go to jail. But the one thing I love about this car is what it's made it to. And that's a 7-speed dual clutch transmission by Tremec. And my God, it is fast. It's so fast. The shifts are lightning quick, and the power is unreal. That supercharger just gets you going in an instant. It is really unbelievable. It's something that, unless you could be in this car with me, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you've ever been in a fist fight and been punched in the face, it feels a bit like that. Now, they used to believe, if you went over, I believe it was something to the effect of like 60 miles an hour or something, you would suffocate. because you only breathe air in at like 35 miles per hour or whatever it is. But this car really makes you feel like that. You go so fast, so visceral, it pushes you back in the seat and it just takes your breath away. And there's no way I can tell you at home how to replicate that feeling without getting you into the driver's seat of this car. Shelby would be proud. One of the things that impresses me most about this Shelby GT500 is that it's super dailyable. It feels actually a lot like my own GT. It rides very well over the bumps. You know what? It rides better over the bumps. I have RTR lowering springs on mine, and honestly, sometimes that thing cracks my back. This MagneRide, just supple as you want it to be, and then you put it in a track mode, and you're in a car that can do unbelievable things, probably beat some records at the Nürburgring. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is a marvel of engineering. One thing I want to talk about, this Tremec 7-speed dual clutch transmission. We've talked about how lightning fast it is, and it is. But it's not an automatic in the same way my 6R80 is. It's not even like the 10-speed, which is very quick, great transmission. This thing is lightning fast, and it's not like your regular torque converted automatic. It is really unbelievable. The history of the Shelby Mustang goes back to 1965, starting with the GT350. Now, the interesting part about this is that the GT500 wasn't introduced until '67, and then discontinued in 1970. Shelby is a name that's been connected with Ford for as long as I can remember, and they've only produced cars, in his name at least, at the time, for 5 years. It didn't come back until 2005. A little bit crazy, but I'll tell you one thing. Old man Shelby is smiling down on us right now because this thing is amazing, and he would be proud to have his name attached to this car. The one amazing thing about this car, it doesn't feel like it wants to kill you. It punches you in the gut and you feel it, but it's not trying to murder you. The rear end, you burn tires. Trust me, I am slipping tires right now, but it never feels like it's gonna kick out. It never feels like it's just gonna murder me and send me off the road into a crowd. It feels controllable, and it's really remarkable. That's kind of a departure from the way things used to be for Mustang. Those live rear axles, they were just dangerous, and this car feels so planted, and maybe you miss that if you're somebody who enjoys those old Mustangs, and I certainly do, but I also enjoy being able to put that power down and not expect to kill anyone, including myself. It's amazing.
So what'd you think, Zach?
It really is remarkable. They've done such a good job at Ford. I mean, the power in this thing, I don't want to overstate it. I'm sure there's better cars out there. You know, obviously if you have a Bugatti, this isn't exactly anything to you, but man, the power in this thing is life-changing. Most people never experience something like this, and it's just remarkable. What they've done at Ford has really made a supercar.
I will say that it's very approachable too. I said visceral earlier in the video because when you put the pedal to the metal, I mean, it throws you back in the seat.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing that and you're just driving around normally, the ride is very smooth, and it's an enjoyable car.
Well, the MagneRide does a great job. It goes a long way in dealing with that. Honestly, it's so smooth. It's one of the only suspensions that allows you to really do both. Have a track car and have a street car. And like you said, it doesn't want to throw you off the road. It spins its tires, but it's never danger.
So it's almost like a tame beast is what I would say. I'd say the 350 is a little bit more of a raw driving experience. This is a little bit more like a video game in a way with the paddle shifters and everything else. And it's so smooth and so easy to drive at the same time. But it's an amazing vehicle.
Yep. It's great. Honestly, I'd recommend everybody buy one if they could.
It's a very polished product. You know who hates Mustangs?
Who's that?
John.
Yeah, John does hate Mustangs. Of course, he's a Corvette guy, so.
So what we can say, we can try to get and convince him, because this would be the Mustang to do it.
Yeah, it would. It would. I mean, most powerful one in the line. I don't think you could dislike this, to be honest.
Let's go find out.
Let's go find out. John, you're gonna love this car.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah, let's find out. Yeah.
No, we have to talk about it. So there's this dialogue, and we go back and forth and talk about it.
I'm ready to drive this piece of shit.
Waiting for no one. We're heading straight up for the sun. They'll never notice. We'll take these cities on our own. And all I know is that we lost time. If we stay right here, we could free ourselves inside. We'll stay awake forever. We'll hide away when no one knows. Let's run away together. Just lead me.